One of the problems with education is it works very slowly, or at least should, because of the issues with timetables and with exam schedules, and these run much more slowly. And what's happened in recent years is the government has stamped its feet and demanded very quick changes, particularly this government with the VAT on private schools, and now suddenly the changes for teaching science. I'm all in favour of teaching separate sciences. I'm not a great fan of the combined science courses, but rolling it out for next September, that is extraordinary. The start of a new academic year. Imagine it, the corridors full, the air heavy with uncertainty, and head teachers with timetables in tatters. This is what awaits many schools across England when the government's plan to make separate sciences at GCSE a statutory entitlement takes effect. Biology, chemistry and physics will no longer be combined into one convenient package of double science. Every pupil will have the right and effectively the obligation to study all three separately. On paper, it sounds like an act of intellectual emancipation. In practice, it will be a logistical nightmare. The principle behind it is admirable. Bridget Phillipson wants to widen opportunity. She argues that too many pupils from poorer backgrounds are locked out of science careers because they were never offered the full scientific menu at school. The evidence supports her. Students who take triple science are 4 times more likely to go to A-level science and twice as likely to go to study it at university. Physics, chemistry, biology, the golden trio that opens the door to medicine, engineering and research. Yet the door has been closed to millions, especially in deprived areas where 1 in 10 schools do not even offer triple science. They offer this package of combined science. So yes, this reform is intended to be a ladder of social mobility, but ladders are useless without rungs. And the rungs here are missing teachers. The Institute of Physics warns of a critical shortage of physics specialists, leaving an estimated 700,000 pupils taught by non-specialists. Pepe de Lacio of the Association of School and College Leaders put it bluntly, where are we going to find these teachers? He's right, you can legislate for ambition, but not for staff rooms filled with physicists. And supposedly the VAT on private schools was supposed to produce more teachers. It hasn't. Head teachers will now face the impossible arithmetic of timetabling 3 separate subjects, 3 separate teachers and 3 separate sets of labs in schools already stretched to the limit. A curriculum review might write this up as inclusive reform. To a timetable manager, it's a crisis. The same number of classrooms, the same number of hours in the day, but 3 times the complexity. And what will be the collateral damage? The arts and humanities inevitably. History and drama will lose periods so that 3 sciences can gain them. The E-back measure, introduced under Michael Gove, was already criticised for squeezing out creative subjects. If triple science becomes statutory, the squeeze will tighten. The very subjects that give students breadth, empathy and imagination may be further marginalised in favour of lab work and memorised formulae. It's also worth remembering that not every child is destined to be a physicist or a doctor. Some are poets, artists, builders, or musicians. A uniform curriculum must never become a straitjacket, and we must stop thinking about subjects in a utilitarian way, particularly with the revolution in AI and with the development of machines to do a lot of the labour that we would normally have done. We need to be thinking of a workforce that is more flexible, not more focused on one particular goal. The risk is that the government, in seeking equality of opportunity, produces uniformity of experience. True inclusion must allow for diversity of talent. Then there's the sheer irony of timing. Wales sensibly has delayed the launch of its own GCSE, the Sciences Double Award, to 2026 to refine content and ease the transition. England, by contrast, seems to be hurtling ahead, confident that goodwill and rhetoric can fill the staffing gap. It cannot. Even the most enthusiastic teachers cannot teach 3 subjects at once, nor can schools conjure laboratories from thin air. Still, the motive behind this reform deserves credit. A country that neglects science condemns itself to economic stagnation. Bridget Phillipson's argument that our curriculum must be knowledge-rich down to its bones is a good one. But knowledge depends on capacity, and to introduce this reform without addressing the teacher crisis is to build a cathedral without masons. So yes, let's inspire a generation of scientists. Let's make the sciences separate again, rigorous and ambitious. But unless the government funds recruitment, retraining and infrastructure, the dream will collapse into timetable chaos and disillusion. The final irony is that this attempt to boost social mobility might entrench inequality instead. Grammar and private schools already have the teachers and the facilities to deliver triple science. State schools in deprived areas do not. Mandating separate sciences without giving them the means to teach them fairly could widen, not close, the gap. So, as we await the official announcement, we might remember one old lesson from chemistry itself. Every reaction needs a catalyst. Ambition is the reactant, but resources are the catalyst. Without them, nothing changes. This reform, if done carefully, could ignite young minds. If done rashly, it will simply burn out the system.